Today we continue with our reading from the book of Tobit, which we've been reading as our first reading throughout this week, about a challenging situation of a bride whose husbands keep dying on the very night that they are married. Happens 7 times. Imagine that happening. You can feel the anguish that a woman would have experienced, feeling perhaps like a curse was upon her. And then we have the archangel Raphael. There are 3 archangels. We talk about Gabriel, who's the messenger of God. Michael is the one who comes as the great defender, the one who battles evil. But Raphael is the archangel of healing. And they call on the archangel Raphael to come and to bring healing. This is where our passage begins today. We pick up today. Yesterday they were just calling on Raphael to come. And here we have heading towards a potential engagement and then a marriage. And before this couple who we're told about lay down for the evening together on the day of their marriage, with Tobias knowing this potentially could be his death, they pray on the presence of God, and they understand that what they are doing is not for themselves, but for the glory of God. And they pray for God's strength, that this is part of what they're meant to be doing. And so they, as we're told, they get to the end of this great prayer, and then they lay down together for the evening, and they survive. It's quite a beautiful story of love between husband and wife, that it's not about serving self or fulfilling some inner sort of animal need, but it's a true gift of love. This is what our gospel's reminding us about today, that we're called to love God with all of our being, with our knowledge, our strength, our understanding, our soul, our heart, and to love our neighbour as we love ourselves. And we're told that there's no greater love than these 2 loves. When a couple enter into marriage, truly not about self, but about the love of God and loving with everything that we have for the glory of God within a marriage context, it becomes something truly beautiful and something that lasts beyond just a night, but perhaps for years, for decades, and for some 50, 60, 70 years and so on. It's a beautiful thing. This is what we're aiming for in marriages. Today we honour and remember St. Charles Lwanga and companions who were martyrs from the late 19th century from Uganda. Charles was one of the attendants to the king. The king at that time hadn't become a Christian. There were some Christian presences within Uganda at that time, and Charles wasn't yet a king. It wasn't yet a Christian, but was serving the king on a daily basis as part of his court. And there were a couple of Christians within the court of the king in Uganda who were noticing dreadful, immoral practices that the king was doing. The king at that time in Uganda, within their tribal heritage, you could say, were taking little children and sexually abusing them. And there was an Anglican attendant who said to the king, "You can't be doing this. This is just wrong." And the king martyred this Anglican attendant who was telling the king that you can't be doing this. And then Charles and a series of others then converted to the Catholic faith. And then the king said, "Well, what do you think about what I'm doing?" They said, "What you're doing is wrong. This is immoral, but this is destructive and it's evil." They said this to the king. They stood up to the king, and the king killed Charles and many others as well. It's quite an incredible story of heroism, but also of the protection of the young and of the immoral actions of pedophilia and of sexual abuse. Charles, I think, could be one of the great heroes for the renewal of the church going forward, to pray that the church will truly not be about self or about the evil we see in the world, but truly about the love of God, and especially the love of God found within children, the innocence of children, and allowing that dignity and beauty of children. Today we honour Charles and his companions who gave their life for the protection of the very young. And all Christians, all of us today, we should be doing what we can to protect the young so that they can grow in a true love of God, a love of neighbour, and to live that out heroically in our world for the glory of God. St. Charles, Lwanga and companions, pray for us.